So it's the middle of May. I'm still wearing a puffer jacket. It's the worst spring on record, probably the worst year to try and trial this system. Just from trying to clean up the strips and just work the strips down to a plantable state. But we're getting there. It's taking a lot of effort. So yeah, this is part 3 of the diary, and I'll just bring you up to date with what's going on so far. Cool. This is plot 1. This is just an overwintered green manure of Phacelia. Managed to survive the winter despite all the cold, and it's just starting to flower now. Really late for overwintered Phacelia to be flowering. But yeah, just flowering now. You can see the moody clouds in the background. I'm going to get drenched any minute now. But yeah, so I'm not rushing this up. So plot 1, I'm meant to be preparing this for strip tillage next year. It's going into a control, yellow clover and white clover, another third of it. And then the last third of it, a multi-species mix, which I'm still working on the design for. But the first thing we do is we'll let this Phacelia flower. It was doing it now. Give it a month, 2-3 weeks of flowering, probably in this weather. Before it sets seed, we'll destroy it. We'll cultivate the whole area. The whole area will be cultivated. We'll spend a little bit of time, like a month of dry weather, hopefully, beating up perennial weeds. And then around about September, we'll look to get in the 3 different mixes, or the 2 different mixes, to start the trial of cash crops next year. But yeah, not much going on in this plot. I'm just biding my time, let the Phacelia flower, bring the insects in. When spring or summer eventually turns up, we'll set about cultivating this and getting rid of some perennial weeds. So this is plot 2. We've just planted this up with courgettes today. So this is the control, I would say cultivated and tilled and prepared piece of soil. Due to the wet spring, that's about the worst bit of ground prep I've ever done. But that should be lovely, clean, bare soil, no weeds. There's still a few weeds in there, but time's cracking on. I need to get them in. So that's as good as a control we're going to get. If it does dry out, we'll give it a vigorous weed and make it into a proper control. So we've got 2 lines of courgettes in the control in the normal tilled soil. And then, like I've said in previous videos, you've just got 1 mix in the rest of this plot. 42 species mix, loads of clovers, loads of wildflowers, and a few grasses. So it's 3 strikes with our modified little 2-wheel tractor power harrow. And to be fair, the clumps of cocksfoot, I'm really regretting putting cocksfoot in the mix. That's definitely not going in the mix going forward. I definitely want grasses in the mix for their fungal impact on the soil and their diversity and their rooting depth. But I'm starting to look for much more gentle grasses, basically. Looking at fescues now, they take quite a lot of cutting quite well. They're not very dominant. They're hardy. They're small physically. So I think we're going to switch from using this cocksfoot, which is great for green manures, but it's not so good for this cover crop mix. And it's the cocksfoot that refused to die off in the strips, and that we've ended up having to do a bit of a grass pull on the strips. I wouldn't want to be doing that on a field scale. So definitely, before I took this to field scale, I need to get the mix right, and yeah, less dominant grasses in it. Still want grasses, but less dominant. So there's the courgettes, and just before we planted, we cut that really, really short. I straddled the strip with a ride-on mower, which didn't touch the strip, and cut the grass really short at the edge. Buy some light, space and time for the little courgette plants. Summer's just around the corner, it's got to be. So these will fly away, and before the courgette plant reaches the edge of the strip, I'm going to give that little strip there is going to get another really hard mow. In the meanwhile, in the middle, so that's the other row there, nice and short again. In the middle here, I'm just letting this go. It's miles away from the courgettes. Crimson clover, just about a flower there. The other flowers, like clovers like Persian, won't be far behind. And with any luck, some of the wildflowers we chucked in there will be coming up too pretty soon as well. That'll bring in pollinators to pollinate the courgettes. And that will also, more importantly, bring in predators to keep the aphids off my courgettes. Okay, this is plot 3. This is our legume plot. Again, an overwintered 42 species mix, established before the trial, so there's no control in this. It's a shame. It kind of shows the benefits of controls. Everything's looking good. Like the other plots, there's no slug damage. If we walk across here, so there we go. We've got 2 good rows of broad beans in behind me. And again, like the other plots, very little slug damage. The only thing I'd say is they appear to be a little bit slow to get away. It's a terrible spring. Soil temperatures have just warmed up here, just warmed up. And everything is responding with that rise in soil temperature. However, it's still soaking wet. There's not much sunlight about. And I can't tell if these broad beans are slow to get away because of the system I've put them in, or whether they're slow to get away because of the rubbish spring. My gut feeling is it's the second, because everything is slow to get away everywhere. But it demonstrates the importance of having a control. If I had a control with my normal tilled system, with broad beans sown on the same date, I'd immediately be able to tell if it was this system that was slowing the broad beans down, or whether it was the spring slowing the broad beans down. So yeah, I just walked you across the plot from this angle. So yeah, good broad beans, few gaps from the birds pecking them when they germinated. This is where we got climbing beans going in. So that'll be either French climbing or runner beans. It'll be like 2 rows of bamboo canes tied at the top, the bottom of the bamboo canes, one in each of those strips all the way along. So essentially you have a living path. I haven't totally decided what to do with the strip up the middle of the climbing beans. I feel like it might become really annoying. It's about how quick the beans get away. There is an option that I might lightly till that just to knock it back, just like buy some time for the beans to get away basically. And then more broad beans, looking good, keeping the grass nice and short. They're starting to get away in height now, so yeah, I'll take you down for a height angle. Starting to get away, keeping the grass, trying to avoid this shade avoidance response, SAR. So plants can sense through colour reflection how close competitive plants are to them. So I need to keep that away, let the plant get away from the living mulch, and then once the broad beans are up and away, they should be fine. I can let go of the living mulch, then it can just grow up underneath them. Keep the strips really nice and clean. We're not ready to plant into them yet. We'll just keep very gently tilling or hoeing these, and we're going to keep the living mulch kept quite short for the moment, and once the crop's in and away, we let it go. Just manage it, just keep it like a little bit behind the cash crop. And obviously when the cash crop comes out, it just goes into full flower. So that's the update for the moment, mid-May update. Spring not here, summer not here. Looks like autumn's already arrived. Hopefully, next video I do, it'll be so sunny, we'll be picking courgettes, I'll be in shades in a Hawaiian shirt. Fingers crossed.